I'm Steven, and guess what? I had a new episode of Meet Mine filmed for you guys today, but I ran into some major technical difficulties. Next week I'll be doing another Q&A session, so if you want to get your question featured on Ask Me Anything episode 3, then make sure you send me a question to any of the links in the info section below. Now, hate is a very, very strong word, but I think it perfectly describes the way I feel about the following things. Public transportation. The only thing you can count on public transportation to be is consistently inconsistent. If you're running a little bit late, there's a good chance that's the day that your bus is going to be on time or a bit early. And how often does your bus actually get to the stop at the time it's scheduled to be there? Give or take 2 or 3 minutes. Rarely. And because the buses don't run as they're scheduled, they don't connect to the routes the way they're supposed to. How many times have you watched your next bus go through the intersection as you're waiting to get off your first one? And how many times have you been running to catch a bus when it starts driving away as soon as you get close to it? Too many times. Another thing I hate with a passion is mainstream pop and rock songs that you hear on the radio. They all seem to be structured the exact same way. It's like the only thing that changes are the lyrics and the melody, and in some cases the melodies are even repeated and reused. Many of these radio artists are on the same major labels, so that could factor into why their songs sound the same. Also, a lot of pop songs these days have a bit of a techno and electronic influence, I find, so probably the producers are just using like the same synths and samples for every song. Despite being an avid concert goer, I absolutely hate large crowds, loud noises, and waiting in line. I'm a big fan of my personal space. I mean, I don't even like people standing too close to me beside or behind me. Imagine how I feel packed in a venue shoulder to shoulder. Don't get me wrong, I love to mosh and have a good time and whatnot, but if I'm just trying to catch my breath or watch the band for a minute or two and I'm constantly getting pushed and shoved, it makes me feel like just hulking out and smashing the nearest person. On a lighter note, I really hate 8 a.m. classes, especially if that's the only class I have that day. That means waking up by 6, getting on the bus by 7 a.m., and then the professor will usually talk for an hour, hand out the assignment, and then tell us all we can leave. Getting out of school early is always a bonus, but when you get out right as your bus transfer expires, it gets kind of annoying. Speaking of which, I hate bosses and teachers that have really strict rules for being late, and even if you have a legitimate excuse, they still penalize you if you're not on time. Late buses, traffic accidents, bad weather, all of these things are pretty unpredictable and unavoidable. That's when your boss or teacher will say something like, "You should have left half an hour earlier," or something along those lines. Maybe I'm just the world's worst employee, but I have no intention of showing up 30 minutes early for every shift. Especially when you're not getting paid for your 30-minute lunch break, why should you show up for another unpaid half an hour? Anyways, that's as much as I'll allow myself to complain for today. I mean, my Meet My video didn't work out the way I was planned, and then that put me in a bad mood, so here you go, this is my rant video. If you like it, leave me a comment, and maybe I'll rant some more in the future. As I said before, hate is a really strong word, so if there's something that you absolutely hate, let me know in the comments below. Still got some time to kill? Check out one of my older videos by clicking any of the annotations below. They all open in new links. And if you want to hear your question next week on Ask Me Anything episode 3, make sure you send it to me before the end of the week by following any of the links in the info section below. I'm Steven, thanks for listening to the shit I have to say. See you next week.